Giannis, the MVP. Bucks had the most wins in the NBA last year, led 2-0 in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then the wheels came off. So, earlier the Western Conference, now the Eastern Conference win totals out today, courtesy of Caesars. Bucks have the highest in the entire NBA at 57. Last year, 49.5 and hung 60 wins. The rest of the East, Sixers, no surprise that it's a two-horse race out there, but the Celtics, Pacers, Raptors in the post-Kawhi era. Nets now have Kyrie, no D'Lo. And the Magic, remember, we're a playoff team last year. So Preston Johnson here. Let's talk about the Bucks.
Yeah.
10.5. They went over last year. I can't get involved 57, but I don't think we're going to have any regression here. I think Giannis, from all the quotes, seems possessed. I believe he's only 24 years old. He is the betting favorite to win the MVP, so it's not exactly he's going to, quote-unquote, come back to earth.
Right.
This team could again, be a 60-win team.
You mentioned 60-win team last year. The metrics and production, they were a 64 and 18-win team last year based on their point differential. They were really, really good. Now, you know I love Malcolm Brogdon. They lost him to Indiana. That's worthwhile mentioning, but they should be the highest win total in the NBA at 57. I project 57.9 wins. I have the Sixers and them as those two top teams in the East, but the Bucks, winning an extra game compared to Philadelphia. And I will mention real quick, Mike Budenholzer teams did it with the Hawks. Like, they're just these regular season machines, and if Giannis is just playing 70-plus games, I think they do get to 60 wins. I think they realize, too, they need to probably have home court when it comes to playoff time. That's their advantage against Philadelphia, potentially in the finals, too.
Do you think they'll go neck and neck? I'm worried about Philly getting there. That's why they have a little bit lower win total. I believe 54.5 is numbered. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. We've seen some movement already. It's gone from 47 to 45.5. This team surpassed expectations last year, which someone predicted on the podcast.
I'll give you credit for that.
All right, said they were a sneaky good team. And they were, because they have the right pieces in place. But they gave up some of those pieces and brought in Kyrie Irving, and I'm not buying what this team's selling, at least for next season. Wait till Durant comes back.
Exactly. This is my favorite win total out of the East, and it was 47. It's pushed down to 45.5. It's still worth an under. Look, last year, this is a cool stat. They had, of guys that played 500 minutes for the Nets, 8 of them had a positive on-court net rating. We have a list here of those 8 guys. None of them are on the Nets anymore.
In a day and age of analytics,
yes.
How does this happen?
I know LeVert, Dinwiddie, people like these guys. Joe Harris, they were on-court net negatives for the Nets this past season. Now, I think Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant deserve the hype. Durant's a year away, the Achilles injury. Kyrie, still some question marks with his continuity with a new team. Health-wise, he plays 63 games a year the last 8 years of his career. He maybe only plays 75% of these games.
I mean, think about that. He's played over 67 games only once in the last 4 seasons.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're banking on Dinwiddie having an absolute crazy season, who's technically to be coming off the bench. They signed and paid DeAndre Jordan $40 million because he's friends with Kevin Durant, and he's going to take away minutes from Jared Allen, who I think is actually good. And I think DJ kind of noticeably dropped off last year. So there's a lot of question marks. To get to 46-plus wins, I think they're going to be similar to last year, 42, 41 win range.
And what is it, 8 seasons in the NBA for Kyrie?
Yes, 8.
He hasn't demonstrated he can carry a team all by himself. He's actually demonstrated the opposite.
That's true.
So I think that's a lot of faith to put in a guy who maybe next year is kind of like a redshirt year until
Boston
Durant
fans, no.
maybe focused on the Big Apple branding of Uncle Drew. Just saying, I like the under as well. Let's bring in Jordan Schultz here. And Jordan, I want to get your thoughts on Philly. Like I said, it's presumably a 2-horse race out east with the Bucks and Sixers. Where do you go with 54.5 now that they've added Al Horford?
I miss you, Douglas, and you look very good. But, okay, I go under because I think Philadelphia, despite the Horford ad, you're still talking about a team that won 51 games last year, and a lot of this is predicated on Joel Embiid. Now, I think Embiid's a fantastic player, but he only played 64 games last year. He's never played a full season, and I think it would be in Philadelphia's best interest to not play him in a full season. Maybe you sacrifice the first or second seed for the 4th seed, but knowing that Embiid is going to be fresher in the playoffs, and I like Josh Richardson, but he's not Jimmy Butler, and also you're talking about Tobias Harris, who said he was underutilized last season. So I don't know if Brett Brown's going to figure that out right away, and I think there is some pressure on Philadelphia this season, which can be a good thing, but I think the under is a safer play here.
All right. Can't fault you at all for any of that rationale. It certainly makes sense because Embiid, you need him healthy come playoff time. One guy who's not healthy is Victor Oladipo for the Pacers. Now, he's going to come back. We're not really sure exactly when he returns, but the Pacers of 48.5.
his timetable is up in the air. But look, last year, I think he played 36 games. They still won 48 games anyway. Their production, expected wins, was actually 51 wins. And they got better. In my opinion, they added guys, sneaky good Jeremy Lamb, TJ Warren, and then obviously Malcolm Brogdon, who I think is a huge analytics metrics guy.
No Bogdanovich.
No Bogdanovich, but those three for Bogdanovich is a good trade, plus Oladipo for, say, 60 games. And so I project 52 wins. Like, there's going to be teams in the East after the Bucks and Sixers. They're going to win games. The Celtics lost some pieces. They're going to be right there again. I think they're vying for that 3-seed. Indiana and Boston is. Toronto's not going to be as good. Some wins are going to go to the Pacers, and they're just coached so well. Their scheme, they run it perfectly. 52 wins is my projection. It's my second favorite win total out of the East.
Yeah, I think Miles Turner a year later as well.
A bonus too.
He's a solid big man. I just love what he does. I kind of slept on this one. I'm actually mad because I think this is a solid play as well. So nice work with that. Rounding out the Eastern Conference, the Pistons, who I said is worth a play at 100-1 to win the East only.
And I offered you 110-1.
And I didn't take it. Blake Griffin was excellent when he was playing and healthy. That's the question. They have Andre Drummond. They did make the playoffs a year ago, although he missed a couple games. 37.5. It's tempting. They do have a former MVP on their roster, Derrick Rose.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.